And I can say things about being a Taurus or being a Virgo. I don't know anything about you. My clients say, wow, you know everything about my life. You know me better than my wife or better than my husband. No. And if you're going to correlate this with that, you can't know just this. You have to know something about that. I think astrology is a language. The ancient tradition that stems from the golden tablets of Hermes Trismegistus, who was the alleged Egyptian giver of truth. If you're from New York, I can say chances are you're going to talk fast, you're going to want to get to a point, you're going to walk fast. Chances are you don't have a lot of room for baloney because you've heard it all. You know, you're good at holding your own space. Now, that might say to the person who I just said it to, they might say, wow, you know a lot about me. If I know about your sun sign and I can say things about being a Taurus or being a Virgo, I don't know anything about you. I only know about the general field. It's only when we look at the more specific information that we can begin to know something about you. My clients, not only the people who read my charts, but my clients say, wow, you know everything about my life. You know me better than my wife or better than my husband. No, I don't. I just know how to put a story together in a symbolic archetypal framework, and then you fill in the meaning, but I don't know a damn thing about you.
It's because you know cultures. You know different ways of mind that it's fashioned by its community and its geographical location. So in order to become a master astrologer, you have to have the world in a globe, in your own. You have to understand everything takes why it takes for the reason that it takes.
Yeah, I think in general that the more you know about more things, the better astrologer you can be. Astrology is basically a study or a science of correlation. And if you're going to correlate this with that, you can't know just this. You have to know something about that. And so the more that you know something about, the more you get to correlate this with that, and with that, and with that. And so I think that being a good astrologer also means knowing something perhaps about spiritual traditions or about history or about psychology or about family dynamics or about biology or about medicine or about the stock market or whatever. You can't do astrology without knowing something about other things, because astrology is a science of correlation between two things. You can know everything about where the planets were when someone was born and not know anything about what to do with it.
Yes. So it's like an alphabet. It's a heavenly alphabet.
It's been called
that. You need to know the grammar. You need to know how to put it into actual sentences and paragraphs. So you need to know everything, pretty much. What scientific world has brought to us, what history has evidenced, before us, and also each human, vice and virtues and how this dance all plays together.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think that the language of I think astrology is a language, and its power lies in the fact that it's a language that can describe energy interactions. It's not limited to the WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get world. It actually can communicate symbolically about how energy interacts with other energy. So when we talk about the planet Mars, for example, it's how a person goes and gets what it is that they want. And Mars in Taurus, in practical earth sign, might go about things in a very determined and practical and steady manner, whereas Mars in Gemini, because Gemini is curious and it's an air sign and it has to do with movement, they may be scattered and fragmented all over the place, but they're the ones who can connect a lot of dots and create new ideas. So astrology breaks through the material stuff by being able to talk in its own language in using archetypes and symbols to be able to describe things that often are more elusive.
Very interesting. So when you sit to write your horoscopes, you're looking at the world events. You're looking at the sign, the member of the particular each 12 clubs, and you put that together. Still, you're adding more spices there, because it's like the person needs to know what energies are, how they're coming. So do stars impel us to do certain things? Are there the energy behind our actions, reactions, behavioral patterns?
I think everything in our environment resonates with who we are, and we resonate with things environmentally. The ancient tradition that stems from the golden tablets of Hermes Trismegistus, who was the alleged Egyptian giver of truth, that many moderners know as the axiom "as above, so below." The within of things is the same as the without of things. Now, what that means is that there is no separation between things in the universe that seem separate. What's happening on a cellular level, on a level of organs, on a atomic level within me, is the same as what's happening on the cosmic level out there. There is the separation from the microcosm, the inside, the small, to the macrocosm, what's outside the large, is the illusion of the consciousness of this moment. We're surfers on a time wave that creates at every given moment a distinct barrier between the past and the future, and between the very small and the very large.
Although we're limited in this space.
Well, we're not limited when we use astrology, because that gives us a map of how the inner relates to the outer, and that's the beauty of what astrology does. And we talk about this, as I was talking about the resonance between the planets up there and our behavior or lives down here. And what's also interesting is, and most people don't think of this, is that same resonance of the within and the without being the same, the above and the below being the same, also works from the scientific standpoint of quantum physics, where at the microcosmic level, the 20th century scientists were confronted with the fact that things weren't things. Physics as a science in the 20th century went soft, because physics was a science of things, and it was discovered as they began to take things apart more and more and more and look tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier, the things became vibrations. And hence we have this concept from the 20th century quantum physicists called particle wave duality. And so at the microcosmic level, we have an atom which is made up of things that are not really things. They're only things when we look at them, but they travel as waves. Now, what this has to do with astrology, this particle wave duality, is when we look up in the night sky, we see these huge particles. We call them planets. I mean, they're really big, but they're particles. They're lumps of rock in space. And we astrologers map those lumps of rock in space, and we put them into a map, and we call it a horoscope, and we interpret it, but they're not just lumps of rock.